Hey folks, welcome back. This is GrownAGeeks. We're here to talk about X-Men 97. Show just got released on Disney Plus. They've released 2 episodes. We're going to cover the first episode and just give some initial thoughts, talk about what we saw, what we liked, and what we're expecting to get from the show. We've got a great panel with us today. It's a weekly watch group. We've been kicking it together. We've done a couple of shows. We've got our Mount Geekmore series, and we're going to talk about X-Men today. So joining us, starting off right here, Brandy, insert cool nickname. How you doing today?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I understand you got some notes on our episode. So
I'm sure everyone does.
you know what? I watched it today, so it's still kind of fresh in the mind. Teresa. Oh, you don't have your nickname. Marvelous Miss Kennedy. She's with us. It's a Marvel thing, so she's here. Talk about some X-Men.
I need to put that back since we're Marvel again.
Yeah, see, we're back on Marvel.
Represent.
The final boss at CC's Pizza, Cashmere the Pro. What's going on, homie?
Another beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Wonderful.
Ready to hear about some X-Men.
And as always, my co-host, my buddy, Jeffrey, JPNT17. What's up, man?
What's up? Very excited.
Long
time coming.
I know you can't wait to talk about this when we got Bishop on the show, active. So let's get into it. X-Men 97. They've dropped the first 2 episodes, and we talked recently when we did our Marvel, like what's going on? Do we like what they're doing? We did talk at length about the X-Men 97 show. Of course, we had some initial expectations on how we thought the show was going to go and some of the things they were going to do. Does anybody have any initial thoughts based on what we originally discussed and what you've seen from this first episode? Brandy, let's start with you.
I think the first thing I want to say is that I think they did a really good job with the animation. I think it blends really well, but also you can tell that it's updated and like there's scenes where it's like 3D in the background. I think it looks, but I think it blends really well. I think they did a good job with the animation style. I was super excited to see Bishop. I in the intro, I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
That new opening intro I thought was it was
super
a little
nice. I like the little build up and then
Yeah.
my childhood flashed before my eyes. It was a good time.
I like the way they incorporated all the people.
The first Cyclops fight, like when we're first introduced to him as a character in this series, I love how he was using his blasters to move around. Like I just like how they did his fighting style. He's never been like a character that I was particularly felt one way or the other about, but I like how they're making him on the new series.
They are making him that
Gambit, of course, with the crop top. I was like, all right. And also Rogue. I got all my sugars and shares. It was a good time.
Yep.
Pregnant Jean, interesting. I know we talked about that.
Yeah, and
before,
I was
so-
actually shocked with the reveal of what we got there.
Same.
It was interesting.
I think in fairness, you called that. I thought it would be something different, but I think that was exactly what you said.
The line stuck out to me. I wrote it down. So there was a line and he said something about tolerance, and he said tolerance is extinction. And I just thought, ooh, they're gonna love that. That's woke. They really made Storm. I wish live action directors and producers and writers could understand Storm the way that animation understands Storm, because never in any of the movie,
Yeah.
So those are random thoughts.
Those are a lot of good thoughts, and I definitely appreciate those thoughts. Teresa, let's turn it over to you. What were your initial feelings of what you saw at episode 1?
Initial feelings, many of the same as Brandy. I do like the way they kind of jazzed up the opening. They kind of added the new little beginning to build up to the classic music. See, I did notice Gambit in the crop top. I thought it was funny that Brandy would mention that, because I figured I'd be the only one who's worried about Gambit being in a crop top. Pregnant Jean, with me not being a comic book person, so when I watched the original series, that's my foundation, the series. I don't know how the characters interact in the comics, but it always kind of bothered me, the whole love triangle thing with Wolverine just pining, and it's kind of sickening, pining over her. And then for her to pop up pregnant like this, I'm like, now it's rubbing it.
Did they watch their own series?
that kind of bugs me. But I think that's it. You know, I'm glad to see the characters back. Jubilee, I like Jubilee. She's kind of flighty teenager type little chick. Gambit just kills me with the exploding playing cards. But yeah, that's about it. Morph is interesting. I mean, of course, you know, we all knew they redid him, but I think he's very different. So it's kind of jarring from the original series. But yeah, those are my notes.
Okay. Jeff, let's take it over to you. Initial thoughts. What were some of the things that stood out?
I did not expect to like feel the way that I felt. Like I was excited, but I didn't realize how excited I was until the episode started. And then I noticed I just had like a big ass smile on my face. I just like sitting in the living room by myself, like cheesing like a little kid. Like I was back on my grandmother's couch in Decatur watching it on Saturday morning. And just even the idea of like using the same theme song, sprucing it up, keeping some of those elements that we loved from the original theme song, but making them better. So like even Rogue being attacked by the Sentinel, but instead of it just being like a regular little like flip over the head, it's just like it's more of like a little wop wop 1-2, just because animation obviously has come a long way in the 20 almost 30 years since the show originally came out. I really it really kind of gave me the feeling that like they were going to give us something new but still be respectful of the original, and I really appreciated that. I really appreciate that approach to it. The character development, I really appreciate, you know, they introduced us to characters, but like where we left off with them, kind of. So we kind of understand, you know, the Rogue Gambit thing because that was in the original series. We understand the love triangle, like Teresa was saying, because that was in the original series. I think, you know, even even Jubilee kind of graduating to be the person that's like, yeah, I was like that when I first came to the house too, because, you know, X-Men always kind of introduces like a new teenager to give us like is some insight as a person who we're looking through their eyes at like this is what this world is like now. So her maturity was refreshing, just so she's not gonna so I don't expect her to just be some like damsel in distress like, oh guys, why won't you let me go? Like she's a full-fledged X-Men now, so she's on the team. She's not begging to go on missions. And yeah, I think just like the animation, the fight scenes, this show is really almost about to make me like Cyclops. Like he's somebody who in the original series, I get, and for all the comic fans, I get it. He's a badass in the comics, but in the original cartoon, he's a prick. He's a Boy Scout do-gooder, boot-licking do-boy. And I have not, from the first episode when he left Morph to die, he never got back on my good side from that point on. I felt a little sad for him when Jean died, but other than that, I could do without Cyclops in the series, period. But like Brandy said, that first fight scene, seeing him use his powers in a different way, and I think seeing everybody kind of use their powers differently. Like Gambit has always had the thing where people are like, well, if he don't have his cards, then he ain't nothing. It's like Gambit's powers are not his cards. So it's like we see him blow up a beignet, we see him charge Wolverine's claws, we see him do a lot of different things to show you that like my powers, like throwing cards is cool because that's like for an effect, because I have a lot of weapons that are very, very light. That's why he uses cards. But that's not his power. Seeing Bishop use his power, which we didn't really see in the original series, seeing him absorb and shoot stuff off, seeing Storm's full power, even Cyclops, like when they fall out of the plane and like Morph changes into Archangel in the middle of the air, because I'm like, all right, as soon as the plane explodes, I'm like, who's gonna catch who? And it's like Morph turns into Archangel. Obviously, Rogue is gonna fly, Storm is gonna fly, and then Cyclops just like, all right, cool, and they just does nosedive. Yeah, I'm like, what is this motherfucker about to do? And then it's just like optic blast. I was like, oh, you trying to get cool? You done went to college cool on me, Scott.
You figured his powers out.
Yeah, you done really got cool on me, Scott. You know, some of the little speeches and all that stuff, he still got a little stick up his butt, but you know, he's growing on me as a character. I think that's the biggest shock thus far. We'll see how that continues, especially in episode 2 and beyond. But yeah, those are my initial thoughts. Like I'm loving the character development and where things are kind of gonna go. Yeah, it looks like there's gonna be a lot of drama. It's gonna be a lot of action. The action scenes have been amazing thus far. The first 2 like fight scenes were really, really incredible. So I have high hopes, technically at least. We'll see where the story goes.
RG, I know you said that you have not had an opportunity to watch it just yet.
Well, you wasn't supposed to tell the people that.
Nah, it's all right. Because
I was supposed to acknowledge that shit myself. Let me put my own troubles. Hold on.
Okay. So I was simply going to say, based on what you've heard so far, what are you looking forward to seeing out of the show?
Well, let's see. So far, what I have gauged, and I apologize to the audience. I know I should have watched it. I've been busy. I got a lot of things going on in my life right now. No, but I just didn't get a chance to watch it. But what I've gleaned so far from what everybody's doing. So Jean's pregnant. Okay. This is something. The animation is good.
Right.
Okay, the animation is good. We got new morph. The fight scenes are good. So there's a lot that I'm looking forward to. I just have a question for everyone. My question is, do you think this is an improvement from the original series or on par? Like, how would y'all compare it to the original series?
I think what Jeff said is probably the it's definitely a sentiment I share. It is taking everything that worked from the original and simply trying to improve upon that. It's not a reboot for anybody who is somehow misunderstanding that or didn't get the memo up to this point. It's not a reboot. They are continuing the previous stories and now they're just moving it forward. As they've updated it with the advancements in technology and such, we are able to see a better showcase of the powers. We are able to see, they've given a little bit of foreshadowing in the intro when you look and you pay attention by including all of the characters in the intro and updating the intro to include specifically Bishop and Morph. You get a sense that there is something that's different. You go in and you're trying to look for those differences, but you don't find anything wrong per se. Everything they do is just a step up. I think, like with some of my initial thoughts, having the inclusion of those characters, and it almost seems like they've, for lack of a better phrase, retconned a few things. Like there's a picture that's hanging up in Professor X's office, and it has the original costumes, and it has Beast, it has Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Morph is in the picture, as opposed to having Iceman or Archangel. Or Angel rather, not having those same characters. They're doing their own little mini retcon in series. As we see Morph, as Teresa mentioned, there is a bit of a change in Morph as a character. They do take a moment through the episode where you'll see him look different almost every time you see him, which is actually kind of interesting. And I was paying attention to that. One time he's actually using his power and he's looking like this person. He's having a conversation with Wolverine. He looks like Jean Grey when he's talking to Wolverine. And then another time you see him, he's got that very blank, pasty white face with no, like, very nondescript appearance. And then another time you see him talking and he's looking like Professor X, and so it's like they're doing a
his
very good job
introduction, even just like I guess I'm curious as to like what you guys see as different in Morph, because I see him as kind of like the same, where he's using other people to like give his message, right? Like even when he first comes in, he doesn't walk in as Morph, he walks in as Professor X. And so you like, if you watch the show, that's Morph. But if you've never seen the show before, because Professor X is in the intro, and it's like, how the hell is Professor X walking? They keep talking about him being dead, and here he comes walking into the conversation. He's that comedic relief, using humor to diffuse the situation, which is very much what he was, I think, in the first episode before he got like left to die on the battlefield. So to me, it's kind of like we're actually getting to see Morph. You know what I'm saying? Because like the only other time we really seen Morph is like he's sitting on the couch watching TV, turning into like the different people from like the TV screen and like laughing and stuff. But seeing Morph use his powers as a communication device is really interesting to me. Like talking to Scott about how he got to stick up his butt and needs to calm down, but doing it as Professor X. Talking to Wolverine about him pining after Jean
Jean
Grey
Grey.
still, but
Jean.
doing it as Jean Grey. I'm
To the
almost
point where
as
even
interested in
Wolverine
the
is
like
like, well,
dramatic.
well, she knows.
Yeah. I'm like interested in seeing how he uses that as almost like it feels like he's gonna be like the conscience of the group in a way where it's like you're not gonna talk to me, you're gonna talk to the person who you really got a problem with, and you're gonna have to face it.
Tell me how you really feel. You know,
So-
like walking therapy.
I got another question for y'all then. Would you say that, okay, so I'm gonna get specific. Teresa, you're the newbie, so I'm gonna pick on a newbie. I'm pick on a newbie. You gotta only like the show. So who is the character or the story? What's the storyline right now from all these different characters? What's the storyline right now that you see developing that appeals to you most?
Well, I don't probably the love triangle thing, and with them having I don't want to go too much into the second episode, but how and in the first episode too, they're hinting about Cyclops and Jean,
Right.
possibly leaving, and then the baby's coming, and is the baby gonna have powers, and how is that whole thing? Are they gonna try to peel off to have this little
happily ever
family
after
thing? And then with Cyclops finding out that Professor, what's his name, left everything to Xavier, left everything to Magneto. He's all in his feelings. So, just how all of this is
He
gonna
didn't trust me. Like,
right, exactly. He's pouting and being all emo.
Oh, good Cyclops.
You're showing exactly the reason why right now.
Right.
Yeah, so that whole dynamic.
Gotcha.
Now,
Okay.
If I can answer that same question, I'm more interested in seeing the continued development of Cyclops' story, because he's trying to fill this role that he feels is actually empty. And so he feels like he has to step up and essentially be Professor X and do what he would have done. And it's this huge shadow that he's standing in, these humongous shoes that he feels he has to fill. And there's a lot of time, like when he gives these orders and commands, like he's the team leader, but you don't get the feeling that he has the respect of the team, but he has the respect of the team. And it's like
when mom goes to the store and it's like big brother's in charge, but he's only like a year older than you. It's like, bro, we can get into it. Like we can get into it if you keep trying to really tell me what to do. And
and essentially it's like, as long as the house doesn't burn down, you've done your job, and that's all that's expected. But
he's like, no, we got to clean the baseboard. And it's like, man, I ain't cleaning no damn baseboard.
Bro, we never cleaned one baseboard before. Why are we doing it today? Yeah, so I think that, and I do also feel like with Cyclops, they are trying to, clearly they've gone in to write him better. And since we have Magneto joining since he's taking over the X-Men, like everything's been willed to him, like how's that going to work? What story are they going to go with that? And so now if there's like any kind of power struggle, because clearly they weren't aware that everything was willed to Magneto. That clearly caught them for a loop, because it still says like intruder alert and everybody runs to the office only for him. And that's the part that you see in the trailer there, where he's like, he floats the book over. He's like, last will and testament. Charles left everything to me, my X-Men. And so, of course, it's like, what's going to happen? So now, you just feel that power struggle is coming. And since they've already tried to do so much in this first episode to establish Cyclops as that guy and give him a little kudos and make him a better person, all of that build up just to have the rug swept from up under him, I want to see how he deals with that. I want to see where that goes and what that leads him to do.
Okay. Brandy, what storyline for you?
Honestly, I just want to see everybody just kind of where the journey goes, because now that with Jean and the baby, like what exactly is going to happen with that? She's over here using Cerebro, and I'm just like, okay, all right, I just want to see kind of where we go with this, the vision that was had. I'm just happy to see my characters. Y'all don't know how much I love me some Gambit, and I just was so excited to see it, because I just don't understand. I don't understand how he's not one of the X-Men that's on screen. He's so likable, and
Yeah.
I miss
Mhm.
this Rogue. You know what I'm saying? I want to.
Yeah.
I just am super happy that I get to spend more time with these characters. It sounds silly, but
No, it
I just
doesn't
want
sound
to.
silly because I'm with Jeff in that I did not. I wanted to see it. I was excited to see it. But when I tell you, like, I was right there with Jeff with the big grin and was just smiling and cheesing. And we had made a joke like, how you gonna do fastball special? I got to see how you do fastball special without Colossus. And I loved it. And it
Yeah.
was such an impressive display of the way powers can be used. It's like you don't see as many combinations like that you think you would. But
It's
I think
definitely
one
like
of
the
the
writers' room all understand the X-Men's powers, and they were like,
Yeah.
how can we like showcase them much better? Like,
yeah,
And show that they're
yeah,
cohesive, that they are a team,
yeah,
they work
right.
working as a
very well
team.
together, they bounce off of each other really well. Like everybody knows where they need to be and what they need to be doing, and you can really see it.
And
Mm.
Yeah.
and I think one of the scenes that like literally gave me goosebumps, and this was to your point, Brandy, when you talked about this version of Storm. Having Storm as like backup, the entire
Yeah.
team is on the ground fighting. They get surrounded, and then Cyclops is like, Storm, give them the forecast. And it was like all of the Sentinels immediately like, Omega threat detected, Omega threat detect. And like she comes in
Oh, really?
and wipes them all out. And it was
Mm.
Yeah.
like just that moment to showcase her power. You
Right.
normally don't get to see like it's like wind, freeze them, water. But she was like
She walked
burn.
in
And
talking stuff. Like
right,
she
she was
Yeah.
like
she
burn.
literally walked in talking mess.
Everything got wiped. And it was
She
like
Yeah.
she
that
came
literally
in and
gave me goosebumps. It's like, see, that is that African goddess right there. That's why she was worshipped right there.
Storm.
she came in and I could hear Okoye in my ear going, "Where was she this whole time?"
Right.
Right. Right.
I was
Okay.
on the plane like, oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Can I ask one more
Can I
question of you guys?
can I
Oh, go
I
ahead.
want to
Oh, that's right. We didn't get your
what I'm excited
storyline.
about.
I'm sorry.
I
Yes,
mean, if you guys
please.
don't
My
want to
bad.
know, it's
Go
fine.
ahead, yeah. No.
I,
Hold on. I'm sit up. Take this seriously. Like, let me sit up.
I think for me, the two things that I'm most interested in are one, Magneto and his kind of the way he, and this is kind of more in episode 2. I'm not going to spoil it, but like obviously Professor Xavier leaves the school to him. And if you remember at the end of the last series, he kind of was trying to basically commit a genocide, and he was stopped at the last minute and had like a change of heart. When he shows up, he's not like, I'm still that man with the he kind of comes back like he on his Magneto, like I'm that
Goodwill.
guy, like he's cocky, he's talking, he's doing his Shakespearean soliloquies and using big words and to explain his perspective and point of view, and that his point of view essentially has not fully changed, but he is doing what he can to honor his friend's legacy. And I think I'm interested to see how far he will be pushed to the point where he has to reconcile whether or not he's going to continue to honor his friend's legacy or do what he truly believes in his heart is necessary for the survival of his people.
Mhm.
And, you know, I think that he's going to come to, I mean, even episode 2 especially, but he comes to a few different crossroads where he is going to be pushed to make a decision where it's like, well, the old Magneto would have done this, but if I have to honor Charles's legacy, I have to play this a different way. And so I'm really interested to see how long that can continue, because I mean, obviously Cyclops is going to be on his ass the whole time, and it's like,
Mhm.
I get it, but I mean, I'm less interested in like Cyclops finally be like, aha, like we knew it the whole time, like wagging his finger and shit. Like we know it's gonna happen, but I'm interested to see what that thing is gonna be. And the other thing that I'm interested in is how they are starting to adapt the Sentinel technology to be more usable and accessible by humans. Because now it's not just big 50-foot robots like Mutant Detected. It's like we're retrofitting these weapons so that humans can use them. And we're
Mhm.
retrofitting these weapons so that they can do
Friends of humanity.
a lot of damage. And so I'm curious to see like how far that technology will be pushed in the show and what the X-Men and how the X-Men are going to be able to stop it.
Okay. Now, can I ask one final question? Because you know something, this is the thing. You geeks have love fest with these shows, man. And as the resident hater who cannot hate right now because I am ill prepared to hate, so it would just be random Cat Williams level hate. I want to give each of you, if there was something that you could improve on this episode, what is the thing that you would improve? So this time, Brandy,
I have nothing. I really enjoyed this episode, and I think I was real apprehensive because I put it off. Like, and why did I put it off? I watched that whole documentary about the Nickelodeon kids and had not watched any of the. I think maybe I was so worried going into it that it wouldn't be as good as I needed it to be. And it was, you know what I'm saying? So honestly, I don't have anything that I would add or change at the moment.
respect, Elder.
I think if there was anything that I would change, it's just a selfish request. Give me all 10 episodes so I can finish this.
That's what I was gonna say.
That's really the only other thing, because this is going to be one of those things. Like, I was fortunate to watch both episode 1 and episode 2, and I'm like, okay, next week can't come fast enough.
Yep.
And if they're keeping the stakes this high, if they're going to get into it like this quickly, I'm hopeful that we will have more than a season, given the new format.
It's already
of
been
things.
greenlit. It's already been greenlit for season, I think 2 and 3. I think.
Okay,
I read
that puts my mind at ease a little bit, because I'm like, the way shows are done now, you know what I'm saying? Like, since this is a Disney Plus show, it's 10 episodes is kind of a special, especially when you talk about a cartoon like this,
Yeah.
where you would have had 20 episodes or 25 episodes in a season. You know, like, we got 10 episodes, and they're not hour-long episodes, so it's like, I'm gonna need some of this show. I'm fearful that I'm not going to get as much of the show as I want. Being a comic guy, I see some storylines that they could be adapting, and I need you to do the whole storyline. Don't just cherry pick parts. Give me that story. That's why I say that would probably be my only complaint, is I'm going to need a lot more than I think they have ready to deliver.
So being greedy. No complaints, being greedy, and Miss Marvelous.
I'm gonna be greedy too. That's exactly what I was gonna say. What Sam said. I also watched the first 2 episodes today, and when the second one went off, I was like, "When are they dropping the next episode?" Because I was like, really, I wanted it to be net. You know, I wanted it to be coming right up. I'm like, I want to know. So yeah.
Spoiled people.
Is it every week on Wednesday?
Yep.
Yeah, I gotta find that release schedule.
Gotta find something else to do for a week.
Jeff, close us out. Why? What would you improve, if anything, based off some of us, if anything?
The thing that really pissed me off happens in episode 2. So I'm not gonna go into it because I don't want to spoil it.
Bad?
But I think that it's
Nope. Nope.
It
We'll
pissed
come
me
back to
off.
it.
And
find something
No,
about
I don't
episode
mind.
1. Find something about episode 1.
Well, the reason why it pissed me off is because of something that kind of also happened in episode 1. I'm looking at, okay, we got Bishop, we got Storm, you know what I'm saying? That's our DEI hires, right? We've shown Storm show Omega level threat, but also like we see like Jean laying all her burdens on Storm about how she's scared about this and that, and this whole conversation. And then we got also Bishop. I would like, I know it's episode 1, but I would like more of him, because why are you here? Like in this present time versus like you're a time traveler. You usually on this show are sent back to like stop something from happening. What is the explanation for your like presence? And I just hope that like in the building of these seemingly now multiple love triangles, quadrangles, however many people gonna be involved in like different dalliances, this does not turn into Bishop is LeVar Burton on Star Trek with no love interest, and whatever happens to Storm, whatever went on in episode 2, I need that I'm not trying to wait no 10 episodes to see that get fixed.
Right.
Because you now are looking at this, like, if we're talking about racial allegory of what X-Men truly is, what are we saying by making that choice in episode 2? What are we saying by, having Bishop there? But
as a background
I'm
player. He like
yeah.
if you're gonna have him there, let him be a main character like everybody else is a main character.
Right. And maybe we just haven't gotten to the point where we understand what's going on. But like we've seen burgeoning friendships and relationships between everybody on the team except Bishop. Like we've only seen Bishop like in battle bonding with the team, but we haven't seen, we saw a lot of Rogue and Gambit. We saw some Rogue and Magneto. We saw some Gene Scott Logan. We saw some Gene and Logan. We saw some Jubilee and Beast, and like that mentor father-daughter relationship. We've seen we've Morphin Wolverine. We've seen how everybody on the team is kind of like knit together except for Bishop. And I'm just curious as to how that's going to happen. And I'm curious as to how that felt overlooked considering the effort that they went through to show that in just episode 1. I feel like that was a very big point of episode 1, not just introducing individual characters, but to show the threads of how everyone is knit together. The most they really mentioned about Bishop was like Beast working on like his like time traveling bracelet. Other than that, like we see him use his powers, but like we don't know what kind of person he is. We don't know kind of how he really feels about the Magneto thing. He just kind of is like, I was here, boss. Show me where to fight. And I mean, I don't want to go that far, but
a portion of that I think is having just done the X-Men rewatch, especially as you get to the end of season 4, everything with Apocalypse and whatnot. Like, there's a point where Bishop actually gets stuck outside of time, where he's trying to get to the apex of time, where Apocalypse was doing his thing there. So he is essentially what Cable was in the second Deadpool, you know what I'm saying, where he's just like he's stuck here, so to speak. And it shows like he has all these different interactions and relationships, and he knows people because he's done the time traveling. And it seems like for the moment he's here, because he does have one line that I thought was kind of interesting where he says he's traveled all these different timelines and he hasn't seen one where Magneto has the school.
See that coming, right?
I definitely agree with you as far as the like how he interacts and the relationships that he's building and how he blends in as an X-Man. But I think since they are trying to like just play off of what has been established from the series, I'm hopeful that it comes to fruition a little bit later on.
Well, we have to assume though that he is going to play a more major part since he is now a title character,
right?
As opposed to him just being, having a recurring role in the original series.
Yeah.
Well, but I look at it too, like
as Jeffrey said, they did not establish it in the first 2 episodes.
Yeah. 1, 2, I'm looking at it like if it's going to, I mean, I know it's only going to be 10 episodes, but if it's anything like the original series, it's like, is this going to be just like a continuous story arc, or are there going to be like, because there was episodes like Gambit wasn't in, and episodes like Rogue is not in, and then there's episodes where this is all about Gambit and his like betrothed wife showing up out of nowhere, and then here's Rogue finding out that Nightcrawler's her brother and all this other stuff. And I know they already have plans. I've already read like all these other different X teams are supposed to be showing up down the road. So I just kind of hope like in the excitement to show X Factor and X Force and Excalibur and all these other people, like we don't just lose. It's not just like we gave y'all Bishop, he here, and it's like, yeah, but he here to do what? Like he's here for what reason? Like there's like, I'd rather just Morph walk around like a black guy and be funny and actually contribute than like just having Bishop to have Bishop.
Character.
I appreciate using the powers though. I definitely appreciate that. Like
that was something just oddly missed in the original series. If he had that gun, he know what to do. And it's like, bro would not have been dodging some of those attacks. He would literally be tanking them like he did to use that power. So I was always confused by that. So that's episode 1. That is the initial thoughts. That is, kind of what we're looking forward to seeing. Sounds like overall everybody kind of enjoyed it. RG, I think you're gonna love it, man. I can't wait to get some feedback from you after you watch it to see if you can truly find something to hate on.
I'm looking forward to watching 2 episodes in a row.
When we get to episode 5 recap, we're gonna do a recap like halfway through the season. I'm gonna be very impressed if you come in on with something to hate for real, unless they
Okay.
just blow it. Because
Yeah.
episode 1 and 2 have given me everything that I need for the most part. Storylines have upset me, but not because it wasn't good and it wasn't good storytelling. It's more that, is this the choice I would make?
Wish
I'm mad
list.
because they're doing something different than what I would actually do, versus like, this is a bad show and they're making bad choices. It's like, no, they're making storytelling choices and they're pushing the envelope. So I definitely am going to be curious to hear your reaction for sure.
Yeah,
I'm
I
looking
gotta know
forward to it.
too.
I'm looking forward to it because the animation looks dope. Everything in the trailers looks dope. So I'm trying to keep an open mind. The original series is definitely near to me. That was a good time. That was a good age. That was a good age.
Yeah,
so
that Fox Kids series.
I'll say
that was the way to go.
all the stuff that's like distracting about the original series, like the bad animation and like Professor Xavier just yelling like,
yeah.
none you have to deal with none of that. Everything happens for a reason. Everything makes sense. It's just I have I mean, even the complaint is like a nitpick at this point.
When we saw Jean Grey wearing Cerebro and she had that little mental panic moment, I was like, they better not. And they didn't. And I was happy. Right. I was like, but I was thinking that might be the soundbite right there. These are our thoughts. We are GrownAGeeks. This is our weekly review panel. Tell us your thoughts. Let us know what you think. X-Men 97, episode 1. Try to keep it spoiler free on episode 2. We are going to do a mid-season recap, and then we'll do a series finale at the end once we've gotten to season 10. Or excuse me, episode. Hell, I'd love to do when we get to season 10. I'm for it. But once we get to episode 10, we'll do a series recap. We hope you've enjoyed this. Make sure to click the QR code there in the corner. Join us on our Facebook group. Make sure you like and subscribe. Leave your comments. Tell us what you think about the show. If you enjoyed it and you have something you want to say, let us know. We'll get back with you. We appreciate you taking time to watch. We're GrownAGeeks. We are out of here.